General Manager for Marketing and Corporate Affairs, Dr. Kingsley Entriboisiakun. General Manager Corporate Planning, Khalid Nuhu. General Manager Legal, Joshua Nemakun. And PSO Kenel Benlaye Oduma.
All right, so welcome back. We are now going to go into our discussion proper tonight, which is all about stress awareness. But before we do that, we would like to bring you some good music that was churned out last week by the GPHA choir, in the compliments, in the spirit of the compliments of the season. Let's enjoy that. right, beautiful tunes brewed from the port of the GPHA choir in the spirit of the season. That's Easter. I will say compliments of the season to you. Happy Easter. And this is the Easter Sunday edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. And every month in the year, that's every month of April in the year is celebrated or termed as Stress and Alcohol Awareness Month. Stress and Alcohol Awareness Month. And we don't want to be left out. We want to take a bite at this one and perhaps give you something light for today and see the impact of this particular stress, in Ghana's maritime landscape. That's what we're discussing tonight. There will be little bits of alcohol in that. And so we have assembled experts to help us digest this particular topic. Now, something worrying came up in 2023 when a research was done by an American institution, and they say about 54% of Ghanaian workers say they face stress at the workplace. I think I'll just take a look at that so that we can set the discussion in context. Now, the original article was published by Accra Times on the 3rd of May 2024. That was just last year. Now, it says not just in Ghana. Okay, let me begin. Let me start with it. Yeah, sure. It says our stress levels remain at an all-time high for the global workforce. In Ghana, a majority of workers share in that pain, as 54% say they experience stress daily at their jobs. Now, this is according to a new insights from the 2023 State of the Global Workplace report published by American multinational analytics and advisory firm Gallup. Now, the stress is associated with physical and mental health problems and lower productivity. The report said, while also identifying that young workers and those in exclusively remote or hybrid locations experience greater levels of stress. Now, while exclusively remote and hybrid employees report their high employee engagement, they also report higher stress, perhaps caused by a less predictable or structured work life. Now, this raise in employee stress emphasizes the importance of organizations simultaneously addressing employee engagement and well-being in the current and future workforce. Now, it continues that not just in Ghana alone, but in the sub-Saharan Africa, the issue is magnified as the region records the highest percentage, 70% of employees watching for or actively seeking a new job. Now, it also recorded the third highest regional percentage of daily stress, that's 46%, and daily anger levels, 26% among employees. Now, the findings, according to the Gallup report, should offer leaders insights into switching to science-based management techniques to change things around. Now, it continues, blah, 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 blah. So let me come, first of all, to you, Dr. Minta, and tell you to take us to the basics and tell us, if somebody says stress, what is stress?
So stress is when you have changes in the body balance, and which we term homeostasis. And there are a lot of...
Okay, so let me let them to appreciate you properly. So let me let them appreciate you properly. Yes. Dr. Emmanuel Minta Benyi is a medical officer at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA Clinic. Yes, with us in the studio also is Captain Joshua Ado, country representative, Benasholte Ship Management, BSM Ghana. He's also a seafarer. Yes, and a lecturer. Yes. Lecturer at Regional Maritime University. He's no stranger to the show. He's been here before. And indeed, we also have in the studios Dr. Yao Mfojo, who is a consultant psychiatrist and sleep specialist. Doc, you become my very good friend. he's with a consultant psychiatrist and sleep specialist, International Maritime Hospital, and the Brain and Sleep Medical Center. So, gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, Doc, so please, fire on.
Yes. So stress is when there are changes in the body mechanisms when exposed to stimuli. The stimuli can be external or internal. Where external job stress, you can have occupational stress from work, and you can also have stress when somebody is sick. Right. And this is an example of the in Tema. And always, we shouldn't see stress always as a bad thing because we have good stress and bad stress.
Right.
The good stress is when you are even going to get married or you have a baby. This is what we call the eustress, which is a good stress and a positive stress.
Right.
And the one we don't want is the negative stress, which is the distress.
Okay.
And this, when this happens, it doesn't just have a physical toll on you, but it can lead to emotional and behavioral changes because of interplay of hormonal changes and imbalance. So stress is a big topic, and there are other issues surrounding when you go to the workplace. There are other issues surrounding workplace stress where people can even commit suicide. And stress at the workplace borders on health and safety.
Right.
Because it is crucial that if safety is impaired at the workplace, then this can lead to accident and it can cause other problems physically or even to someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Where you sit,
Yes.
you consult every day,
Yes.
you know, and how rife or rampant would you say this thing is?
Yes, although there are no data in the maritime industry as we speak now,
Yes.
we see them all the time, so we can extrapolate from that.
Right.
And usually, when they come, somebody will come to you with substance abuse. But when you go further and probe further, you realize that this person has stress.
Right.
So let's take it from some of the symptoms patients present with. One, they come to the clinic with some physical symptoms, example, tension, general muscle tension, headache, and this is as a result of prolonged work, and also if working conditions are not that good for the individual, they will report with stress. Then sometimes they will come with sleep disturbances. That is why we have the sleep aid here. And when they come, when somebody is under stress, they cannot sleep, and they cannot have a good sleep at night.
Right.
Again, they come with cognitive impairment, and this cognitive impairment can lead to anxiety and depression.
When you say cognitive impairment, what
Yes.
does that mean?
So,
unable to identify things or something?
No. So when you go into the science of stress,
Yes.
it's under a hormonal interplay.
Okay.
I don't want to bore you with all the hormones,
Yeah,
but we have the hypothalamus pituitary axis where certain hormones are released.
Right.
Okay. Yes. But the body is such that the body is supposed to function within certain limits. That is why we say that it throws off when you are stressed. It throws off the body homeostatic mechanism. Good. So when we say cognitive impairment, we have other hormones which also play on the mind, right? And when these hormones are produced in the body, then the person have poor judgment skills. They cannot decide whether what they are going to do is wrong or right. Okay? So this in turn affects job performance at the
Also
workplace.
productivity,
Yes, because they make wrong decisions at the workplace. Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, let me come to Captain Nado and find out from you. You are a seafarer, and you also happen to be a lecturer at the RMU, and also now representing Bernard Schulte, ship management here in Ghana. I want to find out from you why you think it is important for us to talk about this issue of stress in Ghana's maritime industry.
Thank you very much.
And also, when you finish, I would want you to tell us a typical day, like a day like Easter Day in a ship whilst you're on voyage. Your mind is like, okay, my family is back home, they are enjoying Easter, and here I am. But first of all, tell us why we must talk about stress, in the maritime space in Ghana.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to wish my colleagues at the Regional Maritime University a happy Easter.
Right.
With the management led by Dr. Brooks.
Yes.
And also my colleagues at BSM, the Maritime Training Center by Captain Thomas, and the CSC by Nana Adwa. I wish them a happy Easter.
Right.
Whilst we celebrate. I think they've taken some stress off their decks.
Absolutely.
Yes, when you talk about stress in the maritime industry, I'm happy we are talking about it today. I
Yes.
was talking with Doc behind the scenes why it seems it's not an issue in Ghana, but it really is. Let's look at it from the conventional point of view. This topic started way back in 2001
Right.
through international by IMO, International Maritime
Organization, yeah.
There was much emphasis was laid on the importance of stress management through guidelines on fatigue mitigation and management, which was developed up to 2018 and recently revised after the COVID or during the COVID era.
Right.
We threw a lot of stress to see. It really changed the game of stress in the industry. So this is a good topic to discuss.
Absolutely.
I don't want to bore you much with stress issues on board the ship. We'll take the whole day talking about it. Because we can first start with the design of the ship itself, create a lot of stress.
Right.
When we talk about the design of the ship itself, it's an island on its own where the management is within. So it's a place of accommodation, at the same time, a place of work.
Yes.
A typical example is if you don't like me, if I close at 5, I go home and changes the environment altogether. But the ship environment is such that the person don't like you, and you are seeing him every day.
Yeah.
And this creates unusual stress and emotional problems. So here is a time, our days at sea, things have really changed. The industry changes so much. I remember our time where you have to close from duty. You have to wait for someone to finish bathing before you have to bath where you don't have in the ship, because we were sharing washrooms. But based on these guidelines and fatigue mitigation, all this has been taken care of.
Right.
Where now each cabin, we call it, has its own washroom to reduce the waiting times to bath.
Right.
And looking at mooring operations where things have been automated so much that it takes off some stress in going through the manual way of working. The ship itself, where you have to assess an equipment, you need to go through a certain process that takes time. And over the time, this has also been reduced.
Right.
So much through automation. Even now, we are trying to introduce AI into some of the functions to reduce the workload on the seafarer.
Right.
So it's good to talk about it, and it's worth talking about it now.
Right. Right. So, like I said, on a typical day, like it's Easter Day or it's Christmas Day, it's Eid al-Fitr, it's Eid al-Adha, your family is back home enjoying, and you are, at sea, sailing. How does it feel?
Yes. This is a basic question that people ask. Do you sleep? Does the ship stop at night? Yes, the ships run 24 hours and 365 days in the year. So there's no rest for the vessel and its operations. So we are quite, it's quite objective, because on a vessel you can have about 10, 15 nationalities with so many different religious background. So it's difficult to say I'm celebrating Easter, chest out, where you are lucky to have a secular vessel where everybody respects each one's religion.
Yes.
Then people can join you in celebration of Easter on board the ship.
Right.
So
Sometimes it depends on the demeanor of the captain.
Exactly, the leadership of the vessel. So we don't talk Easter as an Easter day to celebrate, because that may cause offense to some religion on board the ship. However, being Christian as we are, of course, you need to get in touch home with your family. And I must say that prior to the COVID, these are issues that were causing a lot of problems because you are not able to reach out to your family. You are not able to talk to anybody ashore. And if you are not lucky and the leadership have different belief, then it's something that goes on in silence. But after COVID, a lot have changed, where seafarers are given free internet. They have access to social media, where they can see what is happening back at home.
Right.
So you are not so much lost in terms of what is happening.
Okay.
Unlike decades back, this really, you keep thinking in your cabin what is happening in the middle of the oceans.
Right.
You can't even get in touch with the outside world to see what is happening. But today, things have really changed.
Right. All right. So, is it really true that some seafarers drown their sorrowness, their sorrow, so to speak, and loneliness, sometimes as a result of the long stay at sea, in alcohol?
I will burst your bubble a bit. The industry has evolved so much over the years, and now we have different types of vessels, and the typical one is on the tankers.
Right.
Those vessels that carry crude, petroleum products, gas, and all those. And they say zero tolerance to alcohol. So it's a no-go. You are not allowed to drink at all.
Right.
In terms of policy, insurance,
dangerous travel.
Because the doctor explained, this impaired, once you get drunk,
cognitive,
your judgment and raise your level of stress more. So alcohol is not true
Okay.
that we drink. I say we because I still see myself. Where you get drunk and you forget your sorrow for a moment. Those era have passed.
Okay.
Even on those on the dry fleet where they load the container ships, there's some level of tolerance of acceptable alcohol. Even that is measured prior to commencement of duty. Before you resume duty, you should have some minimum level of alcohol, pounds of alcoholic in your blood to be able to allow you to work. So the industry is quite strict on alcohol consumption.
Right.
So for me not to go through a lot of stress, better I stay off alcohol while at sea.
Right.
Find myself answering queries, being on the edge of losing my job because of alcohol.
Absolutely.
Seafarers in these days have really
Cut down
the consumption.
Okay. All right, let me come to Dr. Mfojo and find out from you, from your perspective as a psychiatrist and also a sleep expert, so to speak. What would you say are the enablers of stress? What accounts for stress?
Thank you very much. Good evening, and good evening to your viewers. You know, enablers of stress, and I just want to add that stress is a loosely used term,
right,
to almost hide behind what really is mental health manifestations of issues.
Right.
So let's, and in that respect, it's actually good that we're talking about it and we're coming out. Also, there's a lot of, there's still a fair bit of stigma and a lot of hiding behind really calling what mental health issues are. And in that respect, I mean, all these nice words we're using are really, the honest truth is that they are really manifestations of mental health issues and mental illness. Enablers of stress, I like to simplify things, 4 Ds.
Right.
Death, debt, disease, and nowadays divorce. 4
Okay.
Ds.
Death.
Yeah, and these are things that usually happen. Death,
disease,
disease, divorce.
And divorce.
4 Ds. Most likely leading to some manifestation of level of depression.
Okay.
And you mentioned people drowning, whatever, and alcohol. I mean, again, people then look for ways in which they think they are trying to cope or blunt the challenges they are going through, etc.
Yes.
So, and these are common things that happen to everyone.
Absolutely, yeah.
But of course, and then we are focusing on the maritime industry
that's
and also with respect to the port extra.
Yes.
So it's important that these enablers, which again are common things that happen to, nowadays people get diagnosed with depression, with hypertension, diabetes. There's a lot of death.
Yeah.
Relationships break up, extra. So these are common things that happen. I think it's important that there's a lot of awareness creation training, especially for line managers and supervisors,
Yes.
on how to identify some of these issues that could manifest in the staff.
Right.
A very common problem will be people who are consistently late or who don't come to work on. There's the Monday syndrome, where they either consistently late or don't come. I think that Captain mentioned significant improvements in
Yes.
certain rules, standards on the ship. Sometimes the challenges happen when they actually reach shore destination, and again they go to different shores, different places. So sometimes the problem's actually not on the ship itself, but they manifest when they stop here. So, but once there's a lot less, or there's a lot more tolerance, there's a lot more. The environments on the ships are strict, etc. It reduces those things. But so back to the enablers that we mentioned. Again, I want to go death, disease, and divorce. Those are the simple 4 Ds.
Right.
And in how they manifest, again, simple things like people, their sleep get affected.
Yeah.
We mentioned earlier on, he was talking about cognition. I'll simplify it and say attention and concentration.
Yes.
I mean, you are reading something, you're not even able to even take it in.
Yes.
Your mind you're supposed to be focused on a machine, but your mind is somewhere else. Extra. So these are things that common things. Again, sleep affected, your appetite is affected. Some people lose appetite.
Others also eat a lot.
Yeah, that's also that's the opposite. Some people actually comfort eat.
Yes.
So you get them eating at strange times, extra.
Yeah.
Then there is what else would be? There's a loss of interest in sexual activity.
Right.
Extra. So there are different manifestations of what we would say are these stressful situations. But it's important that line managers and supervisors.
Exactly. That was going to be my next question. How you should be, while you are able to identify a team member is suffering, and perhaps to get early treatment.
Yes, or identify and see what support the person might need.
Yeah. Okay, so why does it seem that a lot of people, when they cross into the situation of stress, tend to rely on substance or alcohol, so to speak? Why? And along the line, get hooked or addicted?
I think again, it's important to talk about alcohol in relation to stress. And that's a very important thing, that once there's an alcohol problem, you actually have to deal with the problem, but also look at the underlying factors that might have led to that. Incidentally, alcohol it's legal, and it's the most common abused substances. But we mustn't forget, I mean, in ships like nowadays, there's glue sniffing, there's all kinds of, even the use of on the petrol tanks, sometimes the use of the fumes from the vessels, extra. So there are all kinds of things. But of course, alcohol is a common one, and unfortunately, alcohol is also the legally. alcohol is not banned; it's a legal substance.
So, right. Okay, so let me come to Dr. Minta Benyin and find out from you. What symptoms or complaints commonly do people present to you? I mean, people who work in our environment when they come to.
Thank you.
And at what point do you conclude that this is stress?
Thank you. So previously, like I said, people present, usually we get the physical symptoms of stress on the body. And some of the physical symptoms of stress on the body include muscle tension.
Yes.
So after prolonged working, and if the working conditions are not good, there is work overload. These people will come with backache, shoulder ache, and you have to delve into it, and you realize that they have stress.
Yes.
Some also present with tensional headaches, so they have constant headache.
Yes.
They come, and this headache is unrelenting. They take all sort of pain medication. It doesn't go. Then you should be looking at considering stress as a trigger.
Right.
And some of them also present with sleep disturbances, where their quality of sleep is poor, and also they have difficulty even falling asleep and achieving good sleep. There are also gastrointestinal symptoms where they crave for food mostly at odd hours at night, and some have diarrhea, constipation, and all that. There are also cardiovascular symptoms whereby their BP goes up, and when it goes up and it's uncontrolled, we end up with these people getting stroke, myocardial infarction, which is heart attack,
Yes.
and other symptoms. And when we come to the emotional symptoms, emotional and behavioral symptoms, they have interpersonal relationship problems. So I had a clinical scenario where a gentleman came, and it was a welfare team that picked him up. And this person was fighting with almost everybody on his team. And what is the problem? This person was recently diagnosed with retroviral infection. So he mentioned diseases. So he had the infection, he had the retrovirus, and he couldn't deal with it. So he was suffering within. And at the end of the day, he was reported to the welfare team. But when this person came to my consulting room and we started discussing, he opened up. And it was because of this. So I had to link him to care. And this person is currently doing well, working, having wonderful relationship with his colleagues at work. And at the extreme side, people can experience post-traumatic stress disorder when they encounter traumatic event in their life. He mentioned the 4 Ds, divorce, death. So anytime they think about this, it's put them under intense stress, And also, some present with substance abuse. So we sometimes pick up people with abusing cannabis or alcohol. When you delve into it, you realize that they are stressed. And this is due to probably occupational stress. And when this happens, somebody will come to you with reduced motivation, lack of initiative, taking initiative even at work. You take history, you examine this person, and you realize that it is stress. So these are some of the symptoms they present with when they are stressed.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. I have been told that we can activate the phone lines for you to call in. Meanwhile, the number for your text messages or your WhatsApp messages is right on your screen. I mentioned it there, 0538-037353. Now, the number to call is 0245-834980. 0245-834980. You can call and contribute to the discussion. Let me come to Captain Joshua and find out from you. COVID-19 came. and that kind of like also threw the entire, system into a different, level altogether, different scenario. And how did that, coupled with economic pressures at the time, affect one, crew morale, number two, job satisfaction, and indeed the mental health of seafarers?
Yes, thank you. We can't talk about stress and fatigue management when we are talking about COVID. COVID was an extremity of issues that no one in the world was prepared for. In the normal day regulations, preparation in any form. So COVID indeed changed the way the seafaring or the seafarer is looked at. And we all agreed that shipping was active despite the restrictions that was imposed on the world. And seafarers had to go through a lot of stress because you sign on a contract for 6 to 9 months. Some are going 6, some are going 9 months. And in the middle of the contract, then COVID came. People stayed on board for 14 months, 18 months. They are not being relieved. Sure. And as one of my colleagues was saying, people have to assess ashore to release up tension, and you are not able to go ashore in any form, confined in the space of the vessel. And we have situation where Ghanaians have called Takoradi and Tema port, and they can't even come home or see their loved ones. So you can see the level of stress. You are seeing your house, you are in your motherland, sailing all the way from Europe, coming to Tema with all the level of excitement. And you came to Tema port, and you are not able to get out of the port because of COVID restrictions. So this situation really make life of the seafarer highly miserable.
Right.
And that was what brought about the internet. When we were on board in the past, unless you get ashore to hook onto any SIM card to make calls home, you are not allowed to use the satellite phone because it's quite expensive.
Yes.
Here we are now, even at the middle of the Pacific Ocean, seafarers are able to reach out. And this is one of the legacies the COVID left for us. People are able to hook onto TikTok, Facebooking, Instagram whilst on board the ship. So we are not too far away.
You're not cut out completely.
Entirely. So level of contracts are now being looked at that level of ship owners, where they are reducing the contract duration of seafaring, because it turned out that output was affected. People really committed suicide. People died on board the ship. People lost their families. There were a lot of high rate of divorce because they are not able to wait for them any longer. You don't know when you are coming home. There's complete break of communication. The effects were many, and the seafarer was affected. We had people jumping overboard, killing themselves because they cannot bear the level of tension. And the sad thing is that on board, the line managers, as they are being asked to talk, they are also stressed.
Right.
Yes.
I came for a 4 months contract, and I'm spending almost 15 months on board.
Yeah.
All my plans have been put aside. So I'm captain of the ship. I'm already stressed. So who am I going to transfer?
Somebody will ask you, why should you be stressed? You are making money, so why are you stressed?
Money has nothing to do with it. Sometimes you can have, sometimes you can be as wealthy as whatever. But you are still impacted by the practicalities of the things that impact you, whether it's the loss of a relationship, whether it's the loss of someone who's close. So, and the fact that you are wealthy doesn't mean that you cannot have hypertension.
You are immune to stress.
So it has nothing to do necessarily with how much you earn, or it has nothing to do.
Yes, I kept smiling because, there's a common slogan. In our family homes where life is becoming okay, the man have to spend more hours working, and all he hears is, Oh, it's all about money. Do you think money can take care of me? Do you think money is all I need? This is a common phrase that should tell you that money at a point in time is not what you need. Yeah. And when the seafarer earns his money, the next thing is to execute plans with them. So here is a case, I'm building a house, I have reached roof level. I know when I come in December, I'm coming for Christmas holiday and complete my house, then move the family in. And this is here the animal of COVID came. And even the December to complete my roof is not even achievable. Yeah. That's why the money sitting down there, I'm not able to use it. So at this the money is meaningless. All I need is to be with my loved ones, be with my family, see how my mother is doing, see how my father is doing, see how the kids are growing, want to see what they are doing at school. And all this was extremely not happening.
Especially when there was a baby last before you left.
Exactly. And these are problems. You know, the life of a seafarer is untold. Yeah. It's untold because when you live ashore, you always see the issue of your children being delivered, see them through their growth. And this is missing from the seafarer point of view. Yeah. Because the woman get pregnant, you go on sea, and before it came, the child is already walking in those days. So it's good we are talking about it today, because as I said, COVID really changed the stress management, and I must say that the industry has evolved so much with the change, and seafarers now have got a lot of, will I say, cushions to fall on in times of stress. We have the 24-hour hotline to call when you are kind of depressed. We've witnessed a lot of death. We with a high rate of death during the COVID period. Suicide. And it's now reducing because ship owners are now getting seafarers close to them, letting them understand more policy and regulations to appreciate what the stress level has got, impacting their lives.
Right. All right. So let me come to Dr. Amfojo and find out from you. To industry players, practitioners who, in one way or other, may be suffering from stress and, related, issues, but hesitant to speak out, what would you tell them?
Again, I think this is part of the challenge, generally, with respect to mental health issues. I mean, a simple comparison. Look, when somebody is...
Do we have somebody online? Okay. All right. Let's
when somebody has a car accident and the leg is broken, you can see the leg is broken, whatever, and POP. But when somebody is broken inside, it doesn't show... like as a fracture or as a high blood pressure. So a lot of the times it's the behavior changes that should alert you. And in that respect, when you say speak out, it's more about speaking about the issue so that we all realize that this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And sometimes they're not able, part of the illness is that they're actually not able to speak out, like, for example, in depression. So it's more creating the awareness such that, again, whether it's line managers, whether it's supervisors, whether it's close family, can actually identify that, no, there's some behavior change, or there's this person is not really, the output at work is not like how it used to be. There are just a few, I mean, some people get very short-tempered, irritable at work. So then, these are the kind of things that for those who, a lot of people, we spend a lot more time at work than at home. In this instance, with respect to the seafarers, for instance, they actually says that it's a situation where the work becomes the home environment as well. So you can pick up some of these behavior changes, etc. Fortunately, there's now support, helplines, etc. But they are, again, we cannot
Hold it there. Let's go onto the phone lines to Takrade and welcome Isaac on the line. Once we are done, then continue. Good evening, sir.
Sir, fine evening.
Awesome. Please.
My name is Isaac. I'm calling from Takrade.
Yes, sir.
And then I'm watching you on the
Right.
Metro TV.
Thank you very much for choosing us.
The program is very, very, very good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very good. I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's very educating, and I'm sure it will go a long way to educate all of us.
Right. Thank you very much, Isaac. We are grateful. I think it's not a question, it's just a commendation, yes.
Which is, yeah. So.
It reduces our stress.
Yes, Doc. Yeah.
Yes. Where was I in there? I was saying that, this creation, like, for example, this program is actually very important.
Right.
Terms of, again, opening up to discuss.
Right.
But the key thing here is for employers and employees and in Ghana to accept that, it's not everybody it's not a situation where you have to man up or you have to be like pretend to be strong. No. Right. These are they are real challenges. Even
the strongest of a man can be affected.
Yes. I mean, it has nothing to do with physical strength.
Yeah.
I mean, that inner emotional strength is very different.
Yeah.
And in that respect, lots of people are affected.
Right.
Again, simple manifestations, your sleep, your appetite, your sexual desire, your concentration at work. These are things that, and again, we must emphasize for the work environment, it's the supervisor, the line manager who knows you or knows or should know your output extra. If that's coming down, whatever.
Right.
It's important that discussion is had, and if it's really beyond just supporting the person, that the person is then referred for appropriate services. Right. But again, I must emphasize the training and the creation of awareness for these line managers themselves, who, as Captain was saying, themselves sometimes under so much pressure. Yeah, it's important.
Right. Let's take some messages. This one says, "Hi, my name is Na. Can you find out at what point a patient who has been concluded to be stressed by a physician is referred to a mental health professional? For example, a GPHA where Dr. Minta will refer to Dr. Amfojo."
Okay. So we actually have a tool. Yes. And this tool has basic questions.
Yes.
Based on your daily life, the things that you do, and some of the symptoms that we have run through.
Yes.
And this tool has a score. So when you go above a certain value, then we can then refer. And sometimes a clinical situation is such that you cannot dwell on two alone, but based on what the patient will come and tell you, and based on your assessment, the examination findings, and maybe colleagues at work, you invite colleagues at work to talk to them. Based on what they say, then you can make a diagnosis that this person is stressed. So let me refer to the psychologist or the psychiatrist for further management.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. This one says, "Good evening. I'm watching the show and I'm glad stress in the maritime space is finally being discussed. Mental health is real. We need to stop pretending everything is fine in our industry." And there's no name with this one. This one says, "We hear that during the COVID-19 pandemic, many seafarers were unable to disembark due to lockdowns." Yeah, Captain Joshua just mentioned that. That must have been extreme. Can Captain Ado describe how severe this situation was from a mental health perspective? This one is from Bridgewell, Nokpori.
Yes, it's so severe. As Dr. Fojo just said, it's not like a fracture where you can see, but it went down into operations where vessels are not able to function as it is. I recall a situation where we have about 10 nationalities on board a vessel that called Tema, and the whole crew could not operate the ship because they are overdue. Then we have to seek clearance from the president to allow a chartered flight to come to Ghana to evacuate these seafarers, to tell you the level of mental health that they were. So we went through that process, wrote to the president. He understood how the situation was, granted a flight to land, a chartered flight to come in to evacuate these seafarers from the shores of, including Ghanaians. They could not even disembark. And there were times we do not want to remember in line with the seafarer, because people really lost so much than what money can give them. So it's unimaginable how it is.
Right. Okay, this one says port work is tough. The heat, noise, and physical strain can be overwhelming. And yet, if you say you are tired or unwell, they think you are just being lazy. We need change. This one's from Tofik in Takrady. Okay, this one says, I'm a crane operator. People don't realize the level of concentration our job takes. One mistake can be deadly. It's mentally draining, but rarely acknowledged. Mavis in Tema sent in this one. Well, those are the people sharing their views about. These are real issues that people face in the ports every day. Yes. So, Doc, can you tell us alcohol addiction in our industry? Have you had such cases?
Yes.
You mentioned, people come and then.
Yes, we do get such cases, but usually they won't present unless it's at the extreme, when they start getting the harmful effect of alcohol use. That is when they present.
When it begins to attack the liver.
Begins to attack the liver, the harmful effect, they can't sleep, they begin to have tremors and all that, then they will present to the clinic. But people are abusing alcohol just to deal with stress. Yes.
I just wanted to add, and
Yes.
it's unfortunate that we actually have to wait until you start getting the physical manifestations. Again, awareness, because a lot of the times the warning signs are actually there at the workplace, but it is knowing what to whether look for, knowing the warning signs that are being exhibited and how to pick it up. So, again, this is alcohol, for example, managing alcohol abuse is one of the reasons why, for example, doc will refer a patient, because sometimes you need to take the patient or the client away from the environment where the problem is, try and find out what the underlying problem is, plus keep them away so that they dry out, and give them a chance to see how we can support them to solve the problem. So that would definitely be one area where the need for an admission or the need for the person to be taken out of the environment where the problem is, and be given tools to support them to deal with the challenges.
Absolutely. All right, Doc, I'm coming to you, and just a two-in-one, because our time is actually running out. What practical steps port employers, unions, and sector regulators can implement immediately to reduce occupational stress in port operations, for example, and whether there are policies or wellness programs targeted at managing stress and mental health across our communities, port communities in Ghana?
Yes. So when it comes to dealing with stress, it's a mental health condition, and people don't want to talk about it because it's kind of frowned upon and it's a taboo. But I must say that this is happening, and there are a lot of people at the workplace with mental health condition. And in Ghana, we don't have, there is a Mental Health Policy Act from 2019 to 2030, which sort of address stress, mental health issues in Ghana, including stress. But we don't have
for the maritime industry
research for the maritime industry.
Absolutely.
So the industry players, GMA, Shippers Authority, and GPHA should come together to actually have a sort of policy and framework integration, which will be more of stakeholder collaboration, whereby they will have a mental health person on board. They form committees, managerial committees, to a mental health professional on board to be able to deal and identify and deal with people who come with such conditions. And at the union level, also, at the union level, it should just be a supportive kind of care where they will provide safe spaces and also training and education for line management, line managers, supervisors, for them to be able to identify people with mental health condition and refer them for appropriate care. If we identify them, then there should be, the services should be available. So for GPHA, we have a robust healthcare system, and we work hand in hand with the welfare. Of course, GPHA, our first core value is commitment to our employees.
Absolutely.
So when we identify these issues, they come to the clinic. We have safe corners, which is peer-headed by our head of department and the matron. And they make provisions whereby they can talk to these people, because it is tagged as, if you have a mental health condition, it is tagged as a taboo. You can speak to them without fear of judgment or stigmatization. And we come up with solution, and if there is a need for us to refer to the appropriate quarters, IMA is there where we have specialist care. So they can take care of these conditions when they cross up.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Doc. Let me come to Captain Ado, your last words, and whether the issue of, discussing mental health is still a taboo, so to speak, in your side.
In the maritime industry, it's not a taboo. And as he rightly said, I'm quite surprised because GMA, who is part of the IMO, understands where we are in these mental health issues. And it's clearly that they have rectified most of the conventions by IMO, and they should now probably create awareness. I must say that you keep hammering on training, and this is what is a no-go in the industry, that people are not trained when such risk or any risk are identified. I can say that any person that joins a vessel in a reputable company like BSM, you need to undergo mental health training. It's a must. And this is as a wake of the COVID issue. Everybody need to go through mental health training. In addition to that, they have put in extra measure where you have a hotline whilst in transit from your home to the vessel, and whilst on the vessel and after the vessel. There are hotlines that are 24 hours to give you whatever mental situation that you... if this is my last, I just wanted to put a comment on the seafarer frontiers. Is understanding the industry is one thing. In recent times, we are having a lot of stress and mental cases coming up every day in our line of work from the office. And if you go into this situation, realize that these are self-inflicted stresses by the seafarer, because they are not really understanding the industry they are. Why am I saying so? Let me explain.
Just briefly, because our time is up.
I wish I have time to spend on this one, because when you are called a seafarer, you don't know the ship you are joining, you don't know the route of the vessel, you don't know whom you are going to work with, you don't know the food you are going to eat, so you have no control when you are signing on a vessel. Here are seafarers proud to joining this vessel. He has arranged his marriage. He has made concrete plans to come back. I'm going for 6 months contract. And by 6 months, I'm coming to marry. I'm going to do my child education. I'm going to attend to this occasion. He has planned and committed people to this plan.
Yeah.
Then you go back on board the ship. The route of the vessel is not allowing you to sign off. Port restrictions are not allowing you to. Visa restrictions are not allowing you to sign off.
And then stress
then you
begins
create
to set in.
stress.
Yeah. Okay. Stress begins to set in. All right. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
So let me end it there. If time is not.
Yes, Captain. Sure. Dr. Mfojo, just 15 seconds. Your last words.
Yes, I just want to say thanks again for the opportunity.
Yes.
This is a good start in terms of talking about it and awareness.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. So Dr. Yaw Mfojo is a consultant psychiatrist and sleep specialist, International Maritime Hospital, and the Brain and Sleep Medical Center. We also have Dr. Emmanuel Mintabenyin, Medical Officer, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. That's the GPHA clinic. Thank you, Doc, for coming. And then indeed, to my immediate left, Captain Joshua Addo, Country Representative, Bernard Schulte, Ship Management, BSM Ghana Limited. He's also a lecturer at the Regional Maritime University, and he's also a seafarer as well. One man wearing like 3 caps. And so that's how we draw the curtain on this week's edition of Iron Port. That's the Easter edition. Remember, the show is proudly powered by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GWEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. It is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. We entreat you to watch the abridged version of Iron Port on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television GTV. We wish to say thank you for choosing us and entreat you to keep watching the rest of our programs here. God willing, next week, we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of your favorite Iron Port. My name is Kennedy Mona. Thank you so much for choosing us, and have a super week ahead. Thank you.
In Ghana's evolving economy, staying informed isn't an option. Business never sleeps. Markets shift. Deals are made. Power moves happen. From the boardrooms to the marketplaces. From government policies to global market trends, we bring you the insights, the analysis, and the strategies that shape your money, your business, and your future. Join us every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. on Good Afternoon Ghana Business on Metro TV, your ultimate guide to Ghana's evolving business landscape.
Digital alone doesn't solve problems. You were a waiter.
Yes.
You were waiting tables.
Yes.
Were you doing well? Were you polite? Or you were traumatizing the guest?
Oh, I was. The interesting part about being a waiter is the tips, basically.
Oh, yes. No, but the tips come if you are courteous.
Women inspiring women,
Who
I tell
are
you.
you inspiring now, Jackie?
I am inspiring a lot of the ladies in my company.
As marketers, I'll put my hand to my chest and say we are to blame because we have not demonstrated enough our role, our place at the table of men.
But aside from filling the gap, I think that it sends a signal to Africa that the time has come for us to be more self-reliant.
Woblema tesaji Yehowa. Woblema tesaji Yehowa. Honey Jane be fairly ake. Oh.